there, thank you for tuning in. I am Bonnie, and today we're gonna be setting up August in my bullet journal. I'm very excited for this one, and we're doing a little change of pace here because I usually just flip through and babble about my setup, but this time we're actually setting things up. And the reason for that is that I have a little bit more time on my hands to do so. I'm doing something new this time around and I'm really excited. And this theme is relatively simple, all things considered. I'm not going to be painting the illustrations in this video. I did that a couple of weeks ago, but everything else, the layouts and the supplies I used are relatively simple and not too complex. So there are a few things that I want to use today. So I want to use some paint pens and this blue Pilot Pure Liquid Ink, whatever it is, V5 high-tech point pen in this blue because it is the closest blue I could get to my theme. And I also have some labels, letter stickers that has a white background. And I also have this notepad thingy from when I interned at a company and their color scheme was white and blue, and I thought maybe I could use some of this somewhere maybe. So that's that. And obviously we're gonna need a ruler and some white gel pens, and I'm gonna use some stencils also. And I actually ended up whipping out my navy dark blue mug because it sort of matches the theme. So August is my birthday month, so even though my sister is choosing my themes, I was adamant to choose the theme for August. It was like, listen, it's my birthday month, you chose the birthday month and I couldn't question it, now it's my turn. And I immediately knew what I wanted to do. It's summer and I was really wanting another blue theme, predominantly blue that is, and I had the perfect thing in mind. I saw this illustration a long time ago and I immediately saved it because I knew at some point I'm gonna have enough skill to attempt it, and I went on it not too confident, but it did turn out beautiful. So I decided to go with that, and the theme is Greece, or more accurately Santorini and Mykonos, and illustrations of the white buildings and like overlooking the sea and stuff. So let's start with the cover page, and the only thing I need to do for this cover page is glue the illustration down, and that's all I have to do for the cover page because it's all ready. But I do want to talk about this illustration once I'm done gluing it down because it looks very complex, but it actually is not. I'm using some water-based glue that I put in this. It comes in a bottle and I'm supposed to use it with a brush, but I put it in this drippy thing for ease of use. This setup ended up being so chaotic. So I glued this crooked, even though I said that I don't want it to be crooked. And then while I was setting this up, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna do anything about it. But then while we are working on the calendar, you will realize how wrong of me it was to use this water-based glue. And spoiler alert, I do end up redoing this. I very briefly thought about using watercolor with this, but I chickened out at the last moment and I ended up using gouache. So I'm not gonna take the tubes out because why do that? I used the 4 blues, the black, the white, the brown, and that's all the colors that I used to do all of this. And I can't tell you exactly what combinations I used because I have no idea. I had all the paints on my palette and I just kept mixing them together, and I had a spare piece of paper where I tested the colors before I put them onto the page. But even then, there are things that I ended up redoing. For example, the sea, I redid it 3 times because the color kept drying green. So yes, and I know this looks complicated and I keep saying that it is not because I went into this with a color blocking mindset. So I went at it by color, finished the sea, then all of the darker bits and all of the leaf details, the door, and then the domes, and then all of the white brown areas, and then started on the gray areas from darker to lighter, and then fixed everything else with white. And I had the inspo picture in front of me at every moment of this painting, and I just kept adding details. And when you look at it, every element on itself, you're gonna find mistakes. There are many of them, but when you look at it as a whole, it looks really, really good, and I'm very proud of it. The sky, for example, is just one very watered down color, and because I had August sketched in with pencil under it, the graphite ended up smudging and mixing with the blue, and it gave it a muddy look, but honestly I don't mind it. It turned out well. And for example, here, as you can see, the sky does not completely line up with the hill, I guess, over here. And although that might seem not so neat, I think it looks good, and it gives it a look as if there's sunlight behind the mountains, or whatever these are called. The original inspo had Santorini written here, and I really liked the font and the style, so I decided to do the same but with the word August. So it was a little bit of a fiddly work to get the letters to line in somewhat of a curve, but I got it to work and it looked really good. I did end up using a paint pen for the August lettering instead of white paint, because I thought that would be more precise and easier on me, and it worked well. I did end up doing a few layers of that, and then I did drop shadow in the darkest blue color, and it is not my best work. That's why I don't like drop shadows, but it looks good altogether, so we're not gonna dwell on the mistakes too much. And I was gonna cut the white border, but I decided against that. Oh, and I didn't mention, but I used 165 GSM white sketchbook paper that is slightly textured, and this paper has never failed me when doing paintings. So yeah, I'm really glad I went with that. It took a couple of hours, but I worked on it throughout the day, just really having fun with the process, and I love the turnout. I'm so proud of this one. I unlocked a new skill set and like upgraded to a new level in my like painting skills with this one, truly. Then we're gonna have my monthly log, also calendar, and the second illustration is gonna go here. But first, let's do the calendar. And I was really keen on an open layout, so we're gonna have the horizontal lines only and none of the vertical lines. I haven't done this style in a long while, so I'm excited about this one. I think I'm gonna use this ruler as opposed to my regular ruler, because the paint pen might smudge, and I really don't want that. And the only solution I have is to tape off the areas, but that's gonna be way too much work for lining. And I can in theory use one of my gel pens, but they don't cover the graphite and I hate how that looks, so we're just gonna pray that these don't smudge too bad. So I'm gonna need to do a few layers of this anyway. Let's talk about the glue while I line this calendar. So the issue with the glue is that because it is water-based and it soaked through the paper apparently to the painting, and on the more saturated parts it rehydrated the paint. Then we're gonna use some of the stickers. Let me get, so it's gonna be Sunday. Just a little bit. You can actually see it in previous clips where the light shines off the hydrated paint and also the large spots when I flip to this page initially, but I realize it halfway through this spread and I actually end up continuing making this calendar even though I'm going to redo it off camera in a bit. I was speechless, alright? I was shook. Everything is going wrong in this setup. It is so chaotic. And then the painting, my pride and joy that I spent so much time on, ended up just getting ruined. But I ended up fixing it. I took apart my notebook, took this page out, inserted a blank one right here, and then cut around the painting so that I can glue it onto the new page in a way that is not crooked. And then I redid this calendar, did cleaner lines also, and placed everything more nicely, so everything worked out in the end. We have the calendar completed. We're gonna be gluing the second illustration here, and this is the second illustration of Mykonos, and it is the same exact case as the first one, you know, color blocking. And I actually added a flap to this one so that I can glue it down, and it would be a flip out Dutch door / tip in, where I'm gonna have space underneath to actually add my dashboard. So we're gonna do that right now, and the idea is that the calendar and the illustration mirror each other. Have I told you that this setup is chaotic? Because you better believe I glued this crooked too, even though I had penciled in where this should go exactly. But anyway, this was a smaller area, so I could safely rip it out and glue it in a nicer, not so crooked manner. But oh my god, I was getting frustrated. I'm gonna glue it a little higher than I wanted, just so that it truly mirrors the calendar in its size. Apparently, the glue caused the ink or the paint to rehydrate, and so while I was working on the calendar page, the paint ended up sticking here. And it is no small amount. We have some weird spots here and here. I'm gonna have to go fix those with some gouache later on, and maybe I will glue a piece of paper on top of this once it's fully dry. I think instead of using stickers on this, I'm gonna use the blue pen and just my regular calligraphy to bring in some of the blue when the page is not, when the painting is not visible. And I'm gonna write 2 categories and leave the third open for whichever I need from now till August. So it is gonna be finances and to get to. And I'm gonna leave the third category blank. Alrighty. So for August, I'm actually sort of challenging myself and giving myself even less space for the weeklies, In June, I did 4 weeks on a double page. This time, I'm doing 4 weeks on a single page and see how that pans out. In July, I did a single week into each page, and I have plenty of space blank in each day, so we shall see how that goes. We're gonna do the outlines in white and then the lettering in blue. And then on this side, we're gonna have my lifestyle trackers and a running Alistair method to-do list here. This is actually day 2 of filming. Yesterday, while I was finishing the weeklies, my family came home, so I no longer had the house to myself. And actually, the power ended up cutting off for half an hour after that. So yeah, I decided to continue filming the next day, which is now. As you can see, I'm really pleased with how the weekly turned out, and I'm going to continue numbering the days in the white gel pen. I got this from a local store and I can't figure out the name of the brand, and I have a few things from this brand, so I'm gonna try to figure it out and maybe link it if I can find it. But this is a generic gel pen. It is very pigmented. It is a 0.6 nib. The only thing I don't like about it is if I go over it with an eraser, it is gonna fade very quickly. So I'm not planning on going over this with an eraser anyway, so that is not going to be an issue. I'm just going to continue numbering, and then we're going to talk about how I measured this and move on to the next spread. How satisfying that the month ends on a Saturday. I'm really happy about that. Well, I guess not for those who starts on a Monday, but for me this is the perfect ending because I can start September on a Sunday. So I used this stencil to do the 4 sections. I thought it was the perfect measurement just to easily separate the page into 4 sections vertically. So that was that. I drew this and then just extended it a bit here. That is to say, it was easy to compute. And then I just took a ruler, and this was about 13.7 or 0.6, and I just divided that by 7 using a calculator, and so that I can divide the rectangle into 7 sections for each day of the week. Alrighty, moving to this page. This is going to be a running task list for the entire month, and I'm trying this Alistair method, and usually people do it for each week at a time, but I decided to do it for the entire month, and then I'm just gonna extend the line to whichever day the task happened in, and then beside it write the date of that day, since I only have the initials for 1 week here and it's gonna stand for 4 weeks. So let's say I did a certain task on Tuesday and it was the 13th, so I'm gonna extend a line to the letter T and then right beside it 13, so that I know it was the 13th Tuesday and not the 20th or the 27th or the 6th. That is how I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use the white paint pen again, and we're just gonna do the vertical line and the horizontal line. The initials are gonna be in blue and these are gonna remain in pencil. They're just a guide for me because this is a blank notebook and not dotted, and I will erase them once I'm done using this spread. I forgot to show it in the video, but I used a stencil to make this Alistair method tracker, and I'll make sure to link it down below if you want it, but it made setting this spread so easy. Alrighty, I decided to write task/event part so that the word actually goes all over the space, and also so that I can multi-purpose this in case I don't have many running tasks. Alrighty, the other section is gonna be my lifestyle trackers. I have two outfits that I wear and books that I read. I tried to use a ruler to attempt at spacing the numbers evenly from 1 to 30, but it did not work out, so I had to fix it behind the scenes. Okay, I managed to save it somehow. I really wanted to use the letter stickers here so that it is repeated twice in the setup and so it looks more cohesive, but the space I left for the tracker does not permit me to spell the words in their full form, books or outfit or any other combination, and I really didn't want to just use O for outfit and B for book, so ended up with this weird combo of OTB and BTD, which stands for outfit of the day and book of the day. Now that these two pages are ready, we can finally move on to my monthly review page. For this one, it's quite simple. I'm gonna do the August title in the same font I used on the cover page and then write review under it in my regular cursive as I did on other headers, and that will be it for this spread. And the way I'm gonna use it is sort of like a mind map, so I'm gonna draw out arrows for each section of my review list. However, I'm not too sure if I want to change things up as of now, so I'm gonna leave it blank until the start of August because I have a little bit of time to think about it. And I'm going to be using the paint pen as I've been doing. I really thought about using a ruler for the straight edges of these letters, but I quickly realized that was way too much effort. This is a small scale lettering, so it is okay if it's a little crooked and uneven. It's not that serious, so I freehanded it. And this is actually inspired by my March setup where I did something similar, did the month title and just drew arrows out for each section. And ironically enough, that was also a predominantly white and blue theme. So with that, my setup for August is finished. As I said, It is relatively simple and did not take a lot of time, all things considered. There were many things that went wrong as I set it up, but for the most part, it is very simple. So let's take a look at the entire theme from start to finish. We have my stunning cover page, the monthly log and monthly dashboard under this Dutch door, all of my weeklies into one page, the Alistair method, and my lifestyle trackers, and my monthly review. Thank you so much for tuning in as I set this up. I'm a little cranky setting things up on camera, which is why I had so many complications, but it was not necessary because this theme, beyond the 2 illustrations, is very simple and quick to set up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment a related emoji if you have reached the end. Next, we are going to probably set up September, and I am really excited for that one as well because it's going to be very different for me. I'm gonna try new things, and for once I will not be painting anything, so that should be interesting. Until then, you can look through the playlist of all of my bullet journal setups from this year. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.